Welcome back to another episode of the Link podcast presented by Electra Link. I'm your host, Bree Pettit, and we're back again this week with another panel discussion for you guys. Today we have some of the Austin team here to talk about the things that they're seeing and working on in the Austin area. Let's go ahead and start by having everyone introduce themselves and give a little bit about their background.
Rob Stanton, I'm the president of Electra Link and been with Electra Link for 18 years in a number of different roles. I've been in this industry for 30 plus years and half of that's been here at Electra Link.
And Rob has been on a few podcast episodes now.
I have, yes.
So welcome back.
Yes, I'm a seasoned pro at this point.
Yes.
My name's Grace Veneklasen. I'm the account manager for the Austin region, and I've been with Electra Link for 2 months now, I think. And I've been in the technology sales space for about 7 years, but in Austin for just a little over 1.5 years.
So let's dive right in and talk about Austin. It's considered a hub for high-tech businesses and has been referred to as the Silicon Hills. In 2020, there was a new boom in the growth of tech jobs within the Austin area, and there's been steady growth over the past 3 years. In your guys' opinion, how have you seen this growth impact Electra Link's opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. We have had a lot of growth. Most of it's been in the tech industry here in Austin. We've had some, large corporations move here. There's a list of them, that came from California, setting up headquarters here, setting up operations here in Austin. And so it has driven business. From Electra Link, from 2020 going through the pandemic and then coming out of the pandemic, we've seen the most of our growth in that technology sector and getting our foothold in that growth probably in the last 2 years. Right?
Okay.
2023, 2024 was a big year. It's not over, but it's been a big year for us. And the majority of that growth has been in the tech space. There was some, Apple moved to town. I don't remember 2019 maybe when they started building out there maybe, and not necessarily a part of that, but how they, but it took them a lot longer to build it than they expected due to the pandemic. But since we've come out of that, I think for Electra Link, the last 2 years have been where we've seen that technology growth in our business. Parts of that, when we did come out of the pandemic, a lot of our customers, doesn't matter if they're tech space or not, they didn't go back to the office floor. So, so you got to manage your way through that, and we have a lot of downsizing happens, but downsizing creates work as well because now they're subleasing to other companies and they're recommending you. So I think we did get there was movement. It wasn't necessarily all huge jobs, but there was a lot of movement in the market. And then over the last couple of years, I think where at least Electra Link's significant growth has come from has been tech-based data center. Okay. I mean, just this last year, Josh built a big data center, just probably 2 miles from here. And we've had a number of data centers that we worked on last year coming into this year, still working on today. A lot of that has to do with the AI movement, streaming services is a big one, tons of data storage, but the AI movement right now is what's pushing some of the stuff we're on now. Opportunities we're looking at coming down the road is all pretty much based off of that.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning the AI stuff just the other day and how much space these data centers take up.
The space and energy, right? The power consumption that it takes. I mean, there's a lot of planning that has to go into it with a lot of different, with different cities and the power companies. So there's a lot that goes into it to get them done these days because they consume a tremendous amount of energy.
Another thing that drives the market in Austin is finding eco-friendly solutions for City of Austin and their requirements and also the end user. So that's another thing we like to factor in when we're doing a design build.
Okay.
On to more collaborative spaces, open office type stuff. I mean, there's no closed wall offices in there anymore, except for maybe some of the top executives. A lot of team rooms, collaborative
a lot
spaces.
of huddle spaces, which is more cabling endpoints for us. And those are always fun offices to go to, but it is interesting how they've kind of moved away from like the cubicle setting too.
Yeah. So, and it does help our AV division.
Yeah, that's definitely good. So I'm sure that's bringing up new opportunities within our AV division.
With our AV division, it does, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, you had mentioned, Grace, going from cubicles to more open space concepts. Is that more difficult for us to do, or is it easier for us to do?
I think the endpoints might change a little bit depending on what the end user is looking for, but I think if anything, there's usually more audiovisual associated with that.
Okay.
And then also more room scheduling. So I think you can be a little bit more creative with the solutions that you
Okay.
install. Um, but I wouldn't say any more or less in a way.
So with all these new opportunities, has there been any challenges that have come with that? Kind of the shift from the more individual office spaces to the bigger open concepts?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll speak from the design perspective. I don't think it's really affected us that much. It really comes down to the design, the preference of the end user, and what they've got. But if they can think of it, we can build it. I mean, it does produce challenges in the field, with some of the type of architecture that they have today.
Yeah.
But from going from, cubicles and hard wall offices to collab spaces, it hadn't really.
Kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier with or companies moving to Texas and putting like their headquarters and kind of home base here, have there been a lot of new competitors popping up within the Austin area? Or does it kind of seem to be staying the same?
We went through a kind of a boom of gaining competitors a number of years ago, 6, 8, 10 years ago, where the landscape kind of changed. But recently, I mean, in the time period we're talking about now from 2020, I mean, I don't really think so.
Yeah, it's been
Josh,
pretty much the same,
Okay.
the same ones.
And Grace, I mean, you're out there every day, but I don't think it's, to me, from what I see, it's pretty much the same old players. Although,
Okay.
like I said, 6 to 10 years ago, some of them came in, but now they're just old hat.
Yeah.
I always ask manufacturers and general contractors where we stack up against our competitors.
Mhm.
And I always see I'd say mainly the same 4 pop up, sometimes 3 that we go up
Okay.
against.
I think that's right. The running across the same 3 to 5 competitors over and over. We know all of them. I mean, we know them by the first name.
Yeah.
It's a
Doing
small
business,
world.
around them for all this time, and and they're all good people. But one thing we don't see a lot of is, there's some smaller contractors out there that do a lot of business that we don't even see. I mean, so
Okay.
there is that, but back in the day, and Grace has gone her career, she's gone all through this, but going, phone system vendors that are putting in their own cabling and they're getting these, $30,000 jobs, these $50,000 jobs, which are significant when you stack those things together. A lot of times we don't see those because a lot of the smaller competitors are maybe in just a slightly different space that's doing okay. But
Or maybe an electrical engineer might be putting in some VD cable as well. We've seen that a little bit. And then I think in Waco, it's a little bit more competitive with some of the smaller low voltage cablers up there.
Have there been any significant changes that you've seen within like the workforce in Austin from 2020 to today?
yeah, coming out of the pandemic, I don't know where everybody went. I mean, we didn't have a lot of trouble finding candidates to hire until we were coming out of the pandemic. And like I said, I mean, the market just changed. I don't know where they all went, but the tech sector hurts us as a contractor as well, right? I mean, we were just laughing because we got an excessive heat warning on my phone, but we got a lot of guys out there working in that heat today.
Yeah.
And when you bring in the Teslas and the Apples and all those here, and those young people are trying to seek those jobs out,
Yeah.
and without going into construction, they may be back with us. They'll figure it out pretty quick and be looking for a skilled
Most
trade
of them
job.
come back.
Yeah. But I think though the biggest thing that it did is when you have large facilities going in and people are working, and so what happens when it's supply and demand, it's easy economics, right? When the supply is down, then the price goes up.
Yeah.
And so and you'll have individuals that have gone out and worked at one of these monster jobs, and the contractor was having to pay, really above top dollar to get enough people out there, and then they come out and they try to get that out of the marketplace, and then they have to realize soon that that value, although we try to pay top value, there's a certain point where you price yourself out of the market, and so I think that's been a challenge for the employee and the employer.
Yeah. We have to be competitive on bids too. So if our internal cost is too high, we don't have a good chance of winning. So we have to factor that in as well.
Okay.
I've been in the Austin market since 1997, I believe, 1998 maybe, and I haven't seen such a small pool of potential employees in Austin until, like I said, 2023 was really bad. I mean, it was hard to find people who wanted to go to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Has it started to get better?
It has. I mean, 2024, we've done pretty good this year, I think. We've had to change a little bit of how we go and recruit employees, the amount of work we do, the amount of work you do, Bree, help us on our online presence and getting employees. But it's been better this year. I haven't had a lot of challenges, and our turnover this year has been a lot better as well, hasn't
What are some things that you guys think sets Electrolink apart from our competitors and also kind of sets us apart from other employers here in Austin?
That's a good question. I would say what sets Electrolink apart is I think the tech and PM work. Everyone seems to be pretty dedicated to their job. And I think when you execute a project well with as minimal hiccups for the end user as possible, and if we factor in lead times and everything that from our previous experience, we know to watch out for. I think that goes really far. I've never heard anything bad about Electrolink from a implementation point of view. So that's kind of what made me want to come over here. Is it's easy to sell when you're doing a good job. And then knowing that project managers are in the area too, I think a lot of companies as they grow start using resources from other states. And I think that can it doesn't give the end user like warm and fuzzy feelings, I guess. And also it's just kind of more difficult to work across time zones. So there's a lot that goes into, I think, building a good solution for end users and just being good to work with too. So I think that definitely sets us apart. I think we're competitive price wise. And then we also work with all of the key players from a manufacturing point of view. So we really can build a cohesive solution for our end users across DAS, audiovisual, and cabling. And I think that that's huge. And then your second question, what sets Electrolink apart from a employer point of view? I think just having good people to work with. My first month here, I was given so many contacts from our PMs and techs to reach out to that it was a little overwhelming, which is a good thing. Everyone really wants to make everyone else successful here. And if we're all winning, we're all doing well and we're all successful. So I think that's huge. And then for me, also just a little less process heavy and good to work with internal people. And there's always somebody you can call if you need help with something. Austin is a really small market, I've learned, and our techs have really good, techs and BMs have really good contacts in the industry too. And everyone kind of knows each other. Everyone hops around a little bit. And that's been really helpful.
Not to sound like a broken record, but that's kind of what I do. Is the quality, consistency, and integrity. That's what we preach every single day at Electrolink, and no matter what city you're in, right? And that consistency from Dallas to Austin, Austin to Houston makes a difference because we have a lot of customers that have facilities in all the cities that we operate in, and they come to expect that consistency from Electrolink, and so I think that having that, allows Electrolink to gain business just by the geographical presence, but having the consistency behind it, quality that goes with it. And then, we do things a little bit different from the safety perspective, which helps with our general contractors, having full-time safety managers. full-time safety coordinators in all our markets. Having a quality control manager that's doing inspections 5 days a week on our jobs, internal inspections, it just goes to show and proves our commitment to quality. And I think that helps. Yeah, and when you're sitting in an interview, everybody may say, "Oh, we have a safety coordinator, but he also does purchasing." And I think once they see our guys in the field doing these safety audits, and we report the safety audits, doing the quality audits, and we report those to them, I think it makes a big difference. And but it's nothing new for Electra Link. It's just continued support for our customers, showing our intention and our commitment to the things that they care about, or we hope they care.
We went to that large data center out in Pflugerville together with Gene, and you could see how close he was with the end users too. He knew everything that was going on, and I think that that was another value add that ElectraLink had that you could really see when you were on
Absolutely.
site.
Gene Overton's our safety coordinator for the Austin and San Antonio market, and he does a great job around here. And Grace is right; he builds a rapport with all the contractors on site.
Is there any types of opportunities that you guys would like to see more of within Austin, or that you think we haven't quite fully gotten into yet?
Well, I think we target anything and everything. I'm really pursuing DAS solutions because every large remodel and every new build has to have public safety DAS, so ERCS. And since it's a requirement, it's a good way to get your foot in the door with some of the end users that maybe we worked on years ago, but we haven't kept up with. So trying to regrow those relationships. And then data centers, we're doing a lot in Austin right now. Anything basically our general contractors are working on is something that we're bidding on for either DAS, audiovisual, or low voltage. So office spaces, hospitality, and retail a little bit as well.
Electrically don't turn down work. I mean, that's not what we're in business for. But if we were to be able to look to the future and pick and choose some of the jobs, the data center market's really hot. Healthcare market's really hot. And we're seeing a lot of the metro area, not necessarily the city of Austin, but Round Rock, Georgetown, Cedar Park, Bastrop, Kyle Hayes, Taylor. We're seeing, those suburbs really, really boom and start bringing in some new business. And so, even though it's not in Austin proper, the metro area is really, it's on fire right now. There's a lot of opportunity out there in the audio, visual, voice, and data and the DAS space. And it's just a matter of Grace being able to absorb it all, and get out there and capture our market share.
I do think it's nice too. ElectraLink rarely uses subcontractors too, and a lot of our competition maybe doesn't have the resources to go out to these locations outside of Austin. So that's another value add that I think ElectraLink that sets us apart.
Yeah, so going on 40 years now, that's been the case. And it goes back to quality and consistency. When you're subcontracting work, control measures get lost in the shuffle there. And so we try to self-perform as much work as we can. We do subcontract some stuff, some aero plant and some of our underground.
Typically, it's the same company
in the Austin market, but we've been doing business with the same outside plant contractor for forever. And so, it boils down to internal controls on quality and consistency, and not that there's not a lot of good subcontractors in the market. It's just hard for us to control the things that are most important to us when we start subcontracting. So it's self-performing our work is always going to be the number, our number one priority in all cases that we can.
I was in Bastrop last week, and we have to bring in a subcontractor for a boring project. And the project manager working on it, the estimator, and myself all went out to site to do the site walk with them and to make sure that they're a good fit. So I do think ElectraLink has a good way of working closely with the subcontractors we use and then reusing them for other projects as well.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. You can edit this if I'm not allowed to, but I'll go ahead and plug on my main JC Communications. We've been doing business with those guys for probably 20 years since John went into business out there on his own. And they've done a phenomenal job for us. And they've never let us down. So we'll continue doing business with people that we trust and do quality work, and they do every time.
Grace, I know you've recently just joined the Electra Link sales team, but you've worked in sales before coming on board with us. What are some things that you found to be really helpful when it comes to sales and networking in Austin?
I think it's important to work your internal network too. Like I said, I've gotten a lot of advice and contacts from our internal team, which has been really helpful. Josh has kind of given me advice on the market too, and history on accounts that we've worked with in the past. And I think that that's a good starting point for somebody new to the area, getting advice from their internal team. And then I think working with the manufacturers and general contractors, that has been my second step. Pursuing end users that we're already into. I've been out at SpaceX quite a bit, but really starting with GCs and learning what we can help them on for their estimators so we can be kind of an extended team. That's kind of how I like to position myself with end users, manufacturers, and general contractors. That's kind of been the route I've taken, but take Rob's advice.
This office here, we've been in the Austin market since 1997. You know, when you establish a reputation, as long as it's a good one, like
Yeah.
Electra Links is, you're able to feed off of that and to use that, and you have references and everything that you need to build business in the market.
And everyone does kind of know each other. So I was on a site walk last week for a dad's project, and the realty group that was in charge of the project also happens to manage other locations across the Austin downtown area. One of them being another general contractor. So that's an avenue that you can try to, work your different networking groups that way as well.
I think if you're open to network, you're always going to find somebody that's going to be able to help you out, or you help them out, or something. And Austin's an active city, and so it's an active city, has a lot of things going on all the time, and so it's a great place to be able to network, and networking is how you get it done.
What are some things that make the Austin market unique from our other locations in Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, College Station?
Well, that's an interesting question, Bree, but every single market you just mentioned is different. I mean,
Yes, very.
when I travel from here to Dallas, here to Houston, San Antonio, I got to put on a different hat every time. I think the I think the thing that makes Austin a little bit different is uh, the the city itself, the people that we deal with. I mean, it's probably more of a younger, uh, more more vibrant group than some of the, like in Houston or Dallas, and so the whole keep Austin weird thing, I mean,
That's a real
it's a
thing.
true thing, right? It's a real thing, but I think what makes Austin the different, at least from my perspective, of what I see, Grace and Josh see different uh, perspectives of what I do, but I think it's that the city uh, does invite in some of the younger, uh, you know, groups that are trying to make a name for themselves, and we have a lot of business here that's going to accept them and do that. So I think that's one aspect of Austin that's a little bit different than the other cities.
It's good. What direction do you guys think that the Austin market's headed towards over the next 5, 10 years? Do you think it'll continue with this kind of tech growth, or what do you guys think?
I think so. I can see more technology moving in. I think there's plans for more hospitals, but definitely more office spaces too. I think people are coming back to work. Work from home is kind of over, and now everyone is back in office. And I do think downtown there's kind of a little bit of a startup culture too. And I can see some companies that maybe entrepreneurs maybe would have gone to California to start, coming to Austin instead. So I think Austin will keep growing, and I think the surrounding cities will also just boom. And I know, Elon Musk is starting an empire here or whatever he's doing. And and
That's sweet.
yeah, I think last week I heard he's starting a new Montessori school. So he's just growing a lot. And I think that the more that huge companies and corporations come in, like Samsung, I think that everything will kind of follow suit because those companies want their people to be happy too, and that'll just bring more and more business.
Yeah, we're seeing that trend right now. The colo spaces. I mean, I was watching guys out here this morning loading up rack after rack after rack, headed to two different jobs in one colo space. And the data center space for Austin, that trend's going to continue. It's only going to get bigger, right? We do have some reliable, sustainable energy here. One other thing is the Austin market has the talent, right? We have some of the tech space talent here that's easy for companies to be able to come in without moving them from somewhere else. We do have land. We have land mass here, pretty much all over Texas, but here, I mean, we have the land mass that they need. And then going back to what Grace said, and then you got to have infrastructure, right? You got to have healthcare, you got to have education. I think here in Austin right now, I mean, this is crazy because I think of Austin as my little small town, but I think the metro area is almost 2.5 million people now. But the we've been building healthcare facilities here. Texas Children's built here. Seton, which has been here for a long time, they're just expanding. Healthcare out of Waco. So but as far as growth goes, for these big companies to move in here, you've got to have the infrastructure, you got to have the healthcare, you got to have the highway system, you got to be able to, transit system. We do have a rail system these days, so you got to have all those things for the companies to be able to come here. Yeah. The city of Austin and surrounding communities, I mean, they've kind of done a good job. They know what it takes to bring in business, and they've been able to do it. So we do have. I think right now Austin's got 20 colleges, right?
Wow.
And that's a lot,
colleges.
right? So there's a lot of people going to college right here, but and Grace mentioned Elon. I mean, he partnered with, I think it was Austin Community College, to set up their own classes to learn how to do the manufacturing part, right? That they need for the new Gigafactory.
And he's boring tunnels everywhere.
He's boring. There's an own boring company too. But it's trickle down economics. When you have those Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 500 companies spending money, it goes down into the market space, and then you have 100 companies feeding off of them, and all of that benefits Electra Link and all the companies here in Austin. If you build a car manufacturer, then a seatbelt manufacturer moves in, a leather manufacturer moves in, and it builds its own ecosystem.
Yeah.
And so when you do have big companies moving here, it works for everybody, and it does grow the economy. And a lot of times, like we're experiencing now, it grows it really fast. And that comes with its own challenges, but it grows it really fast. And so I think that the tech sector, I still think the healthcare industry is going to grow. And the data center market is going to be pretty hot in Central Texas for a number of years.
Yeah. With all that said, what are some key things that have continued helping Electrolink to stay successful within Austin? I know you guys kind of touched earlier on kind of the things that set us apart from our competitors, but what do you think are the key things that keep us successful here?
Well, I think it starts with the people, right? So, Josh,
good quality techs.
Would you say you've been here 23 years? 23 years. I mean, we have a number. At Electrolink as a whole, our average tenure project manager is 17.5 years, right? That's
amazing.
In our industry, that's pretty high. And I think our average tenure of hourly technician is about 7.5. And so that means that we've got technicians out there who've been here for 25 years, and having those people around to help train not only the technical side of business, but the Electrolink way goes a long ways and saves Josh a lot of headaches from day to day. So I think the number one thing, and I think this is true in all of our cities, but Austin kind of being more of a tighter, smaller community than some of the bigger cities, I think it's really important that you have good quality people that are supporting the brand. They want to be here.
Yeah.
Right. And that attracts talent and it attracts customers.
One of my end users keeps joking that they're going to hire my lead tech and my PM, which, so, I mean, it kind of goes to show that if you keep doing a good job, you'll kind of get more and more business. And then I think because Electrolink does have a good name and has been in the Austin market for so long, it's easy to pull different case studies and different projects that we've worked on that are similar to upcoming projects to show that we know what we're doing in that space, and we've, proven to be successful before. And I think that kind of puts general contractors and end users at ease a little.
Austin's near and dear to my heart as I live here.
Yeah.
But it's been so much fun over the years, and going with this awesome team. I mean, we've put in a ton of work, but we've had a lot of fun, and so I couldn't be more proud of what we do here in this Austin office, and some of the guys we got are just second to none. I'd put this Austin team up against any in the Southwest.
I did get lucky with a good team. It does make sales a little easier when we're providing value and we're consistent. And I do think it's an exciting time to be in the Austin market with how much it's growing, and just a good time to be in Austin as well.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining today's episode. I appreciate you guys taking the time to be here. And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning into today's episode. Please make sure to follow us on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, so that you don't miss out on any of our episodes. And we'll be back next Wednesday with a new episode. Thanks, guys.